a fan of Pokeli's YouTube channel. It's a wonderful archive of every single battle theme that exists in the Pokemon franchise. There's also original compositions and mashups of different battle themes. This YouTube channel is likely the only reliable way we can answer this question: what is the best Pokemon battle theme of all time? Hello everyone, my name is rbertchristian, but you may call me Robbie for short, and today we're doing an objective ranking of the top 10 best Pokemon battle themes. And we're using math here. I'm taking the total amount of views from a specific theme across multiple videos and averaging them out based on the oldest upload. It's not the most reliable math considering how views actually work on YouTube, but it's the best and simplest way that I could think of to make this video more interesting. I also took some creative liberties to ensure that we have a list that I believe accurately represents the current state of the Pokemon community. We'll cover those along the way. Let's start at number 10. We have the Elite Four theme from Pokemon Black and White. The only upload that Pokeli has of this theme has 14 million views and was uploaded on February of 2015, which is about 8.875 years ago. Mind you, the numbers for this list were taken on December 15, 2023, so the views will continue to go up. This team on average receives 1.58 million views per year, so why is this Elite Four theme so popular but not the rest? There's of course a nostalgia factor here, being that it's from the last 2D Pokemon game Game Freak has released, but it's more than that. There are 4 previous generations with Elite Four battles to be nostalgic about, but this one somehow feels different, more challenging, more high stakes, more likable. These characters have backstories. Their Elite Four rooms tell you precisely what type they specialize in. From the moment you approach them, they exude personality. I think the psychology of why we enjoy these themes is very interesting. We associate the music with the memories we have of these characters, of these battles, of this game that is very near and dear to us. And I'm sure you'll notice what I mean the deeper we dive into this list. In the 9th spot, we have Giratina's theme. With the previous generation reigniting some love for the Sinnoh region, we got 2 remasters of this theme. There's the Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl version, which has 899,000 views, and the Legends Arceus version, which has 3.5 million. These 2 versions simply raise the average of the original video, which has over 10 million, for a grand total of 14.5 million views across 3 videos. That equals to a rounded 1.6 million views on average per year. Originally from the Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum games, this battle music carries a lot of nostalgia for most every player in the franchise. The same can also be said for some of the later entries, but I digress. Giratina is the guardian of the Distortion world, banished by Arceus, the god of all Pokemon, for its violent nature, which is why in Legends Arceus, spoiler alert, we see Giratina teaming up with Volo to get revenge for what Arceus did to it. What makes this theme so popular, I think, is the accurate auditory representation of what this Pokemon is supposed to be. It's ominous yet intriguing, intimidating but exciting. The music plays in a way that sounds distorted, with some of the notes traveling from one ear to the other. It's not something you can experience with a mono sound system, and the additional area we got to explore in Pokemon Platinum building up to this moment is what players like myself will always fondly remember. At number 8, we have Guzma's theme from Pokemon Sun and Moon. Pokeli has 2 uploads of the same music. One is the normal version as you would hear it in-game, the other is a higher quality version. I listened to them and made sure that both versions are the same. This is the main reason why I decided to average the views. Pokeli has multiple uploads of the same themes and it divides up the views between both uploads, so we wouldn't get an accurate representation if we only used the most watched version. Across these 2 videos, we have a total of 14.8 million views. If we divide it by 7.0833,
repeating of course,
years, we get an average of 2.09 million views per year. I was very surprised by this one. Guzma is a very goofy character that no one really takes seriously, but I think the reason why it's so loved is because the character is also relatable. He feels like a nobody, always getting second or third best. He's constantly telling everyone how bad he is when he's actually more compassionate than most of the main characters. The composers also explored with a different genre that we hadn't heard before in a Pokemon game, and having done that successfully makes this music all the more appealing. Number 7 is another one from Generation 7, how fitting, for Ultra Necrozma's theme. This theme has a similar number to the previous entry with 14.7 million views from a singular video. However, given that it's more recent than Guzma's theme, its average goes up. When divided by 6.0833, repeating of course, years, we get an average of 2.41 million views per year. I don't think anybody is surprised to hear this theme on the list. This battle takes place in Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, and it was likely a direct response from Game Freak to the common complaint that Pokemon games nowadays are too easy. I've talked about this battle before in a previous video, notably saying that I got trashed by Ultra Necrozma twice before I got lucky on my third attempt. Ultra Necrozma has a base stat total of 754? Not even Arceus, the Pokemon god, has this high of a stat total. It's a refreshingly tough battle for a more recent Pokemon game, and older players appreciate this theme because of it. This comment pretty much sums up why this theme is so popular. Older players fear Cynthia, newer players fear Ultra Necrozma. I took some liberties with the next couple of entries since it's not really possible to calculate the averages for them. Let's continue with what feels like a nice segue from the comment I just quoted. At number 6, we have Volo's theme from Pokemon Legends Arceus. While Cynthia is very beloved for her ultra-challenging champion team, Volo is beloved because of how closely his character follows your journey. He ultimately betrays you in the end. He's a very fitting analogy in the fact that he's the person who teaches you the backstrike technique for catching Pokemon. I initially struggled to include this theme because it's an arrangement derived from a well-established character, but I ultimately decided to make it its own entry because Volo is a character of his own. Cynthia's theme is also further up on this list, and it would hugely increase the average in a way that I don't think feels fair. Volo's theme is currently sitting at 5.8 million views after almost 2 years. If we were to calculate an average, we would get 2.97 million views per year, which isn't a fair representation compared to the rest of the music on this list, because we know that as video is uploaded on YouTube, the views average tends to go down. But I think it deserves some attention, as it's quickly risen amongst Pokeli's most watched videos. I placed it in 6th based on how many views it received during its first 28 days compared to the next entry on this list. In 5th place, we have the theme for the big boss of Team Star, Penny, also known as her alter ego, Cassiopeia. Yet another recent addition to the Pokemon music library. This theme falls into a similar category as Guzma's theme. It explores a genre of music that we've never experienced in a Pokemon game, and it's associated with a relatable character. I think everyone's favorite line is from after you defeat the League, when Gita recruits Penny to patch the weaknesses in the League Point system, and Penny replies with, "But there's a bunch of anime I've missed that I was just gonna binge." Thank you in advance for your willing and eager cooperation. I also think the best part is that Giacomo canonically composed all the music for Team Star. Penny's theme is currently sitting at 5.04 million views in a little over 1 year and going strong. So it's impossible to calculate a proper average for a theme that's still fresh in people's minds. But I wanted to include this one because there's at least one certified banger in every generation. Speaking of certified bangers, in 4th place is the Gym Leader theme from Pokemon Sword and Shield. This one's also a relatively recent theme, but enough time has passed that we can calculate an average. This singular upload has amassed 10.7 million views, and it would likely be even more if there wasn't a separate upload from a competing YouTube channel with 13.8 million more. That's more than 24 million views total across both videos, but I said in the beginning that we're only using Pokeli stats for this list to maintain a proper assessment. If we averaged the views for both of these, the rest of this music wouldn't stand a chance, especially considering that the version with 13 million includes the in-game portion from when one of your Pokemon faints. I know I've listened to both versions back to back because they each have something different. 10.7 million views in around 4 years equals to 2.68 million views per year, and absolutely no one is surprised. When this theme came out, we were surrounded by memes of people reacting to it, with the guy dancing to an anime intro and folks trying to sleep while trainers Dynamax their Pokemon at the gym stadium. This isn't the first time we experienced a soundtrack that changes depending on what's happening in game. Think back to Black and White's low HP theme. But it is the first time they did it in such a dynamic way. We got different versions of the same theme depending on whether you were at the beginning of the battle, you had Dynamaxed your Pokemon or defeated one of your opponent's Pokemon, one of your Pokemon fainted, or were at the end of the battle. This doesn't just sound good, it feels good. You feel pumped, the sound of the crowd is built into the theme itself, and it makes you feel like you're actually there. Everyone jokes that Game Freak poured their entire budget into this song, and honestly, this music is so high quality that I'm inclined to believe them. At number 3, we have a nostalgic piece of Pokemon history, the champion theme from the second generation, also known as Red's theme. The most watched version of this theme is from Heart Gold and Soul Silver, with 11.5 million views, uploaded over 8 years ago. There's also an upload from 11 years ago for the Black 2 and White 2 version that I won't be including because it would lower the average so significantly that I would put it under Ultra Necrozma's theme, and I believe that's not representative of the Pokemon community. We also have an arrangement created for Sun and Moon, which is sitting at 10.8 million views, that I did include in the total number, as it shares that same recognizable intro and the original version from the Silver, Gold, and Crystal games. Adding all the numbers together gives us a total of 24.4 million views across 3 videos, divided by 8.875 years, which gives us an average of 2.7 million views per year. This theme plays during the champion battle against Lance, but most fans associate it with the ultimate final battle against Red at Mount Silver. This battle is the culmination of a full-fledged journey taken across 2 regions. Red is the original champion, representing what the player character was the prior generation. The music is instantly recognizable. It's referenced during the opening of Gita's champion theme. Red's theme is often classified as a masterpiece by many Pokemon fans, and it triggers many happy memories that will last for generations to come. We're down to the top 2, which means we finally get to talk about Cynthia's champion theme. The most popular version of this theme is the original from Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum with over 19 million views, but there are a couple of other uploads that further boost its average. We have a version from Black and White, one from Sun and Moon, and one from BDSP. There's an upload from 11 years ago for the Black 2 and White 2 version that I also won't be including for the same reason as before. With all the numbers combined, we get a total of 25.5 million views across 4 videos. When divided by 8.875 years, we get an average viewership of 2.88 million per year. It all comes down to what we talked about before. This theme is nostalgic for most Pokemon players. It was likely the most challenging battle we experienced as kids. It's the reason why her battle in Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl is so satisfyingly difficult. She has Pokemon with competitive ready movesets, held items, beneficial natures, and stats that made grown men actually cry. I barely defeated her on my first try. I got lucky. My Empoleon loved me so much that he avoided her attack and delivered a final Ice Beam to finish off her Garchomp. Cynthia is a hallmark of this franchise, well known and well respected, with a theme that still triggers war flashbacks in the minds of those who remember this battle.
I wasn't scared until I heard the piano.
We finish this list with our number 1 spot, the greatest Pokemon battle theme as deemed by the Pokemon community, Zinnia's theme. There is absolutely zero contest. The numbers are the highest they've ever been for any battle music. This theme, however, runs into a similar issue as with Guzma's theme of having 2 different uploads, an original and a higher quality version. Across both videos, we have a total of 27.4 million views. When we divide that by the 9.0833, repeating of course, years it's been published, we get an average of 3.02 million views per year. This music plays when battling Zinnia at the top of the Sky Pillar in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. It's hard to describe in words what makes this theme so memorable. It's strong, it's high stakes, it adds layers to a story we're already familiar with. The violins provide a finesse that synergizes with the rest of the instruments, and the accordion riffs sound characteristic of a dragon flying through the sky. The sound of drums provide intensity and power, while the synthesizer in the background represents a sense of controlled psychosis. I have to thank this commenter for beautifully describing this masterpiece in a way that made sense. Above all else, this theme is a fantastic musical portrayal of Zinnia's character, a composition so well written for a mysterious character with plenty of lore and backstory. What's your favorite Pokemon battle theme? Let me know in the comments below, and subscribe for more Pokemon content coming your way. Thank you so much for watching, leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and as always, I appreciate you being here. Bye!